Hi all, welcome to Soul's Journey, and I hope everybody's year is off to a good start. Mine is not especially, but I have a new deck, new to me, came a few days ago, and it's the first time I've really been up to doing a walkthrough. So this is the Prairie Tarot from Robin Ator, I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name. So this is all U.S. Plains territory imagery and focused, and just got this on Amazon, and it was shipped out very quickly, even though it goes through Robin directly. So thanks very much, Robin, for the quick shipping on that. And then this is one of those decks that's been on my wish list for a long time, a really long time. And I finally decided, that's it, I'm gonna get it, even though I've kind of slowed down on the tarot collecting. Get the plastic off here. And I will warn you that at least one card that I know of, if you have not seen this deck, maybe a little disturbing to some people. It involves something that is done during the Sundance ritual, and it's a little bit graphic. So some of you may cringe a little bit, so I'll give you a warning before we get there. But I do want to talk about that a little bit. So let's see. So it's not a bad little box, just, cardboard. And okay, I'm going to have to get the shrink wrap off here. Hold on. Okay, so shrink wrap's off. And looks like we're starting with the minor arcana. Right off, I'm going to say the card stock is just kind of heavy coated paper. Here's the backs. Whoops. Maybe I should turn off that overhead light, might screw things up. And we'll just do it this way. And this clearly is the Ace of Pentacles. And so it looks like there is no little white book or anything with it, which is kind of interesting. So, not entirely sure if this is supposed to be depicting a real person. I'm sure it is, but I don't know who. I've got the Knight, that's a little hard to read, and the Page of Pentacles. So it comes in reverse order apparently. Okay, so I just found out on Amazon that there used to be an app through the Fool's Dog of this deck that did actually have a book with it, a guidebook or something that explained who these people were, but scrolling through it now, I'm not seeing it, and I would kind of be a little annoyed at having to buy the app just to get the guidebook when it didn't come with the physical deck. So anyway, I don't know who all the people are in the deck. I can guess at a few of them, but yeah, most of them are going to be just a mystery to me. I know a little bit of history of the American West, but I'm not by any means any kind of a scholar. I would say this is just a regular farmer with corn crop. If you're wondering about these lines, they actually are on the card. It's not the camera. I don't know what that's about. So it's, it looks to be, basic standard, not standard, but follow along the lines of the Rider-Waite-Smith. So it should be, pretty easy for anybody to read if the artwork appeals to you. Well, that's almost Marseille style. That's interesting. And the ace and then the king. And the Knight of Wands. Looks like he's carrying a fence post. And the page is finished driving that fence post into the ground. Oops. On the Nine of Wands. And pencils. Kind of like they're working together here on a barn raising something. It's like an antelope or something. We end with the two, and then we begin with the Ace of Swords. Looks like a cavalry sword. If you guys recognize any of these characters, maybe from some old photographs, historical photographs or something, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know. That's sad. Yeah, the settlers in the West, I should say the white people who moved out there, used to shoot the buffalo from moving trains as they went by. Taking a rest on the trail. And on to the Ace of Cups. King. Queen. Knight. And a page. The jackalope. Is this a, must be a bonus card, kind of like a happy squirrel thing. Okay, so here we have the world. It's like those traveling circuses that used to go around. Judgment. Sun. That's cute. Tower and thrown from a bucking bronco. The devil, ye old saloon. Temperance. Apothecary. Death. Okay, so the next card is the one I was going to kind of warn you about. If you find the image disturbing, you may want to skip ahead. But this is a real thing that went on. So here we go. Now, this is something that is a ritual that's part of the Sundance ceremony that the Plains tribes would hold every year. Starting in, I'm not really sure how far it goes back, at least a couple hundred years. So I found a really good website about it. And it says Sundance is a distinctive ceremony that is central to the religious identity of the indigenous peoples of the Great Plains. Developed in the 18th and 19th centuries, or developed among the horse-mounted bison hunting nations who populated the Great Plains in the 18th and 19th centuries. Those nations at the core of its practice in the bison hunting era that have continued its practice into the contemporary period include the Arapaho, the Cheyennes, southern and northern, the Blackfoot, who include the Siksika, or Blackfoot proper, the Bloods, or Kainas, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Kainahs, and the northern and southern Piegans or Picunis, and the Sioux, including in particular, the westernmost Sioux, who are the 7 tribes of the Lakota Nation, but also include the Yanktons and Santees, who comprise the 6 tribes of the Dakota Nation. They would either construct a medicine lodge to hold it in, or they would go and cut down a cottonwood tree to use as the central pole for this. The cottonwood is apparently sacred to them. And here's another photograph of being done in the middle of the group. Okay, so the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Blackfoot names for the ceremony all refer to the medicine lodge within which the ritual dancing occurs. Medicine lodge is constructed of pole rafters radiating from a central sacred pole. However, the best known and most widely practiced contemporary form of the ceremony is that of the Sioux, who do not construct a medicine lodge. Instead, the Sioux make a hokoka, or Hocoka, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, or ritual circle with a sacred cottonwood tree erected in the center. So, however, both traditions, whether the medicine lodge or the hokoka, involve ritual ways of making local space sacred as a setting for renewal of the people's relationship with the land itself and with all beings in their life world, both human and other than human. The Arapaho, Cheyenne, Blackfoot, and Sioux nations all practice sacrificial acts of piercing the flesh, often described pejoratively as torture by outsiders. Others, such as the Ute, Shoshone, and Crow nations, perform sacrificial acts of embodying their spiritual intentions through fasting and intense dancing, but not through piercing. So the point was to test yourself, and they would go out, and this would go on for 4 days. They would be in this dance. And they would hope to have visions while staring at the sun, and the point was to tear the flesh, escape from these bone pieces that were piercing them. The ceremony would begin at sunrise, and anyone could dance. Dancers looked at the sun as they danced. Short breaks without food and drink were allowed. This went on for 4 days, usually while the self-sacrificers prepared themselves. Usually these men, as it was rare for a woman to participate, wanted something specific: good hunting skills, better fighting skills, or healing powers. Each dancer had a mentor to help him through the ceremony. This would be a holy man or someone who had already danced. The holy men prepared buffalo skulls and placed them around the arena. Long lengths of rawhide were tied to the central pole. Dancers wore rings of sage on their heads and often around their wrists and ankles. As the dancers stood in the arena, holy men approached them and pierced each side of their chest with a length of bone. Next, the rawhide thongs were attached to the bone. The dance began as a slow shuffle. Some chose not to be tethered to the pole. Instead, they had the bones pierced through their backs, and then buffalo skulls were attached with thongs. The dancers dragged these heavy skulls around as they danced. The aim of the dance was to remove the bone pieces from the dancer's body. Dancers at the pole pulled themselves backwards, trying to tear their flesh and release themselves. Those with skulls attached to their backs danced over rocks and through bushes. They hoped to catch the skulls on something and rip them from their bodies. Dancers who had not released themselves close to sundown received help from their mentors. The mentors grabbed the dancers from behind and jerked them backwards in an effort to tear the bones from their skin. The dancer hadn't been released by sundown. The holy men removed the bones in reverse to the initial piercing. So this was pretty intense. That is some hardcore. And this was actually depicted in a movie from like 1970 with Richard Harris, who subjected himself to this. Not literally, I mean, his character in the movie did. The movie was called A Man Called Horse. So that was my first encounter with this. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, moving on. We have justice. And the wheel. The font's actually a little hard to read for me. Of course, I didn't bring my glasses in. I should know it anyway. It's just going backwards. Hermit. It's like one of those old Hudson's Bay trappers. Strengths. Chariot. Lovers. I like this version. Very good. The Hierophant. Emperor. Empress. High Priestess. Magician. And the Fool. So, I like the deck very much. So the cardstock is, it almost feels like that kind of punch-out paper. You know, I've definitely seen worse, but it's, yeah, pretty, I'll say it's flexible. And for some reason, I had the idea that this was going to be a smaller deck. I thought it was going to be more like a pocket-sized deck. I don't know why I thought that. I just did. So I was kind of surprised because it's standard tarot size. So, riffles, shuffles just fine. Except my little fingers can't quite get there. Okay, this one's trying to pop out, so what do we got? Jackalope, of course. Like a little trickster. Well, so there we have it. I hope that wasn't too much on the Sundance ceremony, but I find it absolutely fascinating. So that is the Prairie Tarot from Robin Ator, who also did the, he's got a couple other decks out. Let's see. So I believe this is independently published, and the name of his company is Glow in the Dark LLC. First edition came out January 1st, 2011, according to Amazon. I don't know if that's entirely accurate. So this is the only deck I'm seeing by him on Amazon right now. And he did like the International Icon Tarot, I thought, and the Ator Tarot. I don't know if those are still available or not. I don't have either of those. So anyway, hope you found that interesting. And I thank you very much for watching. As always, request the thumbs up and subscribe, and I always appreciate that. And if you know anything more about any of the characters, if any of them are actual people depicted in this, I'd love to know. So until we talk again, I hope everybody stays well, and blessed be.